So if you heard about thread weights, you hear somebody say 50 weight, 40 weight, 28 weight, 12 weight. What are all those weights? I'm going to tell you about those today, and I want to talk about a sort of simplified approach to your scrap. You know, how to sort of look at it so that you have something very doable and actionable. Actionable meaning you can make a quilt from it. Yeah. I'm Pat Sloan. This is my fireside chat, and today I've got a whole bunch of fun things. We'll just go through what's going on, and I want to go through, I got a tool talk, so lots of good stuff. So let's start out with thread, because I work with Aurifil Thread, and they're a Italian thread company based in Milan. The parent company is owned by the president's father. Elena Gregati's father owns the parent company, which makes all kinds of threads for industry, you know, bedding, fashion, clothing, you know, that kind of thing. And then like 16, 17 years ago now, Elena went to her father and proposed a sub-business for thread marketed and made especially for the quilters. She was just amazed at how passionate quilt makers are and how beautiful their end products are. And so she brought in their family friend, Alex Farinelli, and the two of them started up Aurifil USA, which is the thread that we all love to sew with. And I met them quite a few years ago when they were first introducing themselves to the market, to the quilt makers. And so they wrote me, Alex wrote me, and he's like, "Can I send you some thread?" I'm like, "Sure, send me some thread." And so we've been good friends ever since. And they're an amazing, it's a family-owned business, and they're just incredible people. But their big deal is that they have low lint 100% cotton thread, and it comes in several weights. And so what I want to do is show you the weights. What I did is I've brought these spools, and I'm going to bring us down here to the table. I have to move some stuff here. I got a lot of stuff on the table. Okay, so let's come down here. And what I've got is one of all of the cotton thread weights that you would normally use on your sewing machine. And we'll just zoom in a bit more and have this. Okay, so we're going to start with this one. This is your regular 50 weight thread, and it's on an orange spool. They're all color coded by the spools, and then there's a wooden spool I'll tell you about last, but we'll do these four on the color coded spools. On the bottom it will tell you everything about it. You've got Aurifil, and it says any 50, which is 50 weight. It has the code, the color number on the bottom, and then the die lot number. You know, it's made in Italy, which is in Milan where they make it, and how many meters are on this. This actually has 1,422 yards on here, which is more than double what most other manufacturers put on their regular size spool. So you've got a lot of bang for your buck when you get this. The bottom pops off, so some people take it off to put this on their machine for whatever reason. I like to use it to lock down the threads. I could take the thread and keep it tidy and put it underneath there. Oops, see the thing here? So 50 weight, there you can see it, it's locked underneath the cap. So 50 weight is used for, let's see, we're going to come back up here so we can talk a little bit closer. So 50 weight is used for most everything. You can use it for your piecing, you can use it for machine applique, you can use it for hand applique, you can use it for machine quilting. So it is quite the go-to thread. Now, as I go up in number, as I go down in number, this is 50. As the number gets smaller, the thread gets thicker. So the next thicker thread is the green spool, and that's 40. This is 50, and the green is 40. If you want some of the samplers that they sell have all the weights in them, so you could get a sampler. I'll see if there's one out there, and I'll link it down with all the stuff. But the 40 weight is just a little bit thicker, And when I first had my first collection box with them, which was the first box they ever did, they wanted to do one also in the 40 weight. And why? And that's because in Europe, 40 weight is generally their go-to weight. So they piece with 40. So if you happen to only have 40, you can piece with it, just check your size, but it's not that much thicker. But the little bit is nice for if you're doing bags where you have a lot of thickness of maybe material. It's fabulous for blanket stitching, fabulous for free motion quilting. I wouldn't do fine handwork because you're trying to make your threads disappear, but blanket stitching is really, really nice because you're going to see that. Top stitching on bags, on garments, 40 is fabulous. So that's on the green spool. Then we're going to go to, next one is the gray. So the gray spool is 28, and you can see on the bottom, I'm going to show you here so you can know where to read it. See, whoops, let me roll it around. There we go. 28, you can see it right under the Aurifil, Mako, NE. Mako is just one of their marks. And then NE's is 2-ply. So the 28 is thicker. You'll be noticeably thicker when you're working with this. It is fabulous for blanket stitching, fabulous for free motion quilting, walking foot quilting. You can do machine applique. So it's got a lot more oomph to it. So if you wanted to like heavier look of your blanket stitch or heavier look on your machine quilting, with your walking foot or your free motion, that this 28 weight is fabulous. It's also what I use in my Baby Lock Sashiko machine. So this is what fits in my Sashiko. So that's what makes it look like it's hand quilted on the top. Then the last one I'll show you of these is the 12 weight. And you might even be able to see that that looks quite a bit thicker just visually. And it is. 12 is, to me, it's like one of the pearl cottons, that you do hand embroidery with. Now you can put this in your machine, and you can use a bigger eye needle and maybe use the green 40 in the bobbin and do machine blanket stitching with this. And it looks beautiful. It has a really nice heavy look to it around the edge of your applique. You can do walking foot quilting with this. Just remember, you can't go quite as fast. And if you're a long armor, you can get these on the cone, and they're a lot of fun for, using for a long arm. But it's a little hard to free motion on your home machine with this thick of a thread. But you could give it a try. Just go slower. Just go slower. And the last one I want to show you of this series. Remember here we had these four weights here. So there's another weight that came out a few years ago, and it's on a wooden spool, so it's very different looking. Of course, it can go on the machine. This is 80. So 80 is thinner than your 50. So your 50 that you're normally working with, 80 is thinner. And it was developed for fine hand applique, so that these are all 100% cotton, so that it would just sort of blend right in and not be seen at all. So you can do some like machine quilting with it. Just play around. Consider it a more delicate thread. Same with blanket stitching. You might just need to adjust your tension a little bit because it's a thinner thread. So you might need to work a little bit with that, or maybe not. You just try it on your machine first and see what happens. Now I want to tell you about a fun thing that's going on at the Fat Quarter Shop. I read the other day, and so I wrote to them. I'm like, what's this? This sounds fun. It's called the Sew Down. Did you see that? That cute little cowboy hat? They're from Texas, right? Fat Quarter Shop. They're in Austin. So they have a challenge. Kimberly Jolly, the owner of the Fat Quarter Shop, she put out a challenge. She's taking one of the big cones of thread, that like this. You see them on the long arms. And the challenge is for, I think, February and March, through the 2 months, is to see how much you sew down your Aurifil thread, either a spool or big cone. And I think they're giving away a prize. So you will want to do that. I don't know if I want to take the challenge. Should I take the challenge? I'm not sure how much, I'm doing a lot of writing in the next 2 months. So I don't know how much I would not be a contender, but I could try. So let me know. Should I try? Are you already doing it? Are you doing this sew down? Crazy, huh? So I also want to tell you one thing is that I got statistics, and I'll write this down here, is that one of the things is people will sometimes say, oh, it's expensive, the Aurifil. Well, it's actually not expensive. It's the same or even less than other quality threads because their spools, the individual spools will have a higher price because they have more thread. So I went out and looked at one of the sulky threads, which I have here. So like a spool like this of sulky, this has 660 yards. Then the Aurifil one of the same weight, 50 weight, 50 weight, this spool, you know, this is basically their main spool size. This one has 1,422 yards, more than twice as much. This spool costs basically $8. This spool cost $12. So if you were to get 2 of these, that would be $16, which would still not be as much as the $12 Aurifil thread. So now there are less expensive threads. I don't think the quality is as good, but when you have a quality thread, this is really a value because you get so much on here, which means you don't have to buy it as often. You can always find a deal, I'm sure, if you keep looking. Oh, and if you like to collect them, I have the kits, the Aurifil kits that I do for them. So I have the box here. Let me show you. Oops, hold on. Okay, so I've got, this one is my neutrals box. So these are all the colors that you need for like piecing and a lot of, you know, you can do a lot of your quilting with it. And then I have the perfect box of colors. Whee! So it's a juicy variety of colors. And these are my 2 main boxes that I have, and I've had them for years, and they're great if you want to start a collection. They come in this box. So I just wanted to tell you about the Aurifil thread. So if you are not familiar with them and how they work, I hope that helped. Let me know. They also have floss, which is what I've been using. So I'm using the floss for doing the cross stitch. And that's a totally different, that's like, you know, 6-ply, it's regular floss. Okay, so I want to show you, let's see, I want to talk to you about the scraps. Now, I did a pop-in video on Saturday, and I said, you know, one of the things I think people get bogged down in their scrap management because they don't have a plan. They just are cutting a zillion sizes and then trying to store a zillion sizes, and you don't have space and it becomes overwhelming, and then you don't do it, and you know, then it becomes a mess. Or you do it and you don't use the stuff. It just sits there and gets stored and taking up space when you could be using it. So my thought is to have a plan, whether you're doing like something like my traffic jam, which I showed you. Oh, okay. It's embedded under there. Oh, there it is. Yeah. So these are the traffic jam blocks that I'm doing right now. You know, I've done several of these, so these are the ones I'm doing right now. And they're 2.5 and 4.5. So there you go. You just had to cut those things up. But there's a lot of, if you're doing like 2.5, 5, and 10, there's a lot, you know, 2.5-inch strips, 2.5 by width of fabric. 40 is a jelly roll, basically. So, you know, those, you have tons of patterns. And I was going through some things and found one of my patterns from the mini charm book. So the mini charm book is 2.5-inch squares. And this was a challenge where you use certain sets. You can buy the little mini charms that come out from the different fabric lines, and they have like 42, yeah, I think 42 in a thing. So mine used 3 charm packs, 3 times 42. Whoops. So these are my little tulips. Ta-da! There you go. So this was done with the mini charms, which is 2.5-inch squares. Whoops, I'll hold it over there. So, and I did a little, I'll show you up close, I did a little rick-rack, stems on there, and even the leaves are sewn, sewn 2.5-inch squares together to make it. So this is from a book. from that book on the mini charms. Now, if you wanted a bed-size quilt of these, you could just make, 4, 6, 4 or 9 of those. It would just keep getting bigger and bigger. So put that over there. Now, in the book, I wanted to show you one other one, because right behind mine in the book, and by the way, if you get this by Valentine's Day, I think Valentine's Day the sale ends. Everything, the books are all 40% off. So here's mine in the book. There we go. But right behind mine is a really, really, really cute table runner. And I could see that you could do more of these for a whole quilt. So look at that. That block is darling. And it's not just using, make the squares into triangles for some of them. So they're a little bit smaller, but you have precious little scraps. So this is a cool book, something you might want to look at getting. The other thing I got in recently that made me think, there is a project for something of a different size. It would be a specific size. I don't know if you've seen these yet. There are these foundation papers that are coming out from the Fat Quarter Shop, which are so neat. So let me just hold this one up first. It comes in 2 sizes. So these are the 6-inch squares and the 12-inch squares. So like if you want to do a pineapple block, or they have right now pineapple in the log cabin. But these are foundation papers. And so what you're doing is you're sewing on the paper. So you start in the middle. There you go. So you start in the middle, and then you would sew number 2, then number 3, number 4, da-da-da-da-da-da. This is 1.5-inch strips, which means because you're doing sew and flip on paper on a foundation, you don't need to have it exactly 1.5. It needs to be at least 1.5, but it could be a little bigger. If you had something that was 1 3/4, that would work. If you just had these strips. So for those of you who are keeping those, here is a plan. You can make a plan. The bigger papers do 2.5. So that's your 2.5-inch strips. That would be leftovers of, anything you cut into a 2.5-inch strip. And for the pineapple block or the log cabin version, they have these log cabin too, you don't need to have the whole length of fabric. So if you've been cutting and you have a piece that's 8 inches long, this would be a way to do like scrappy pineapples or scrappy, or don't have to be real scrappy. You could do all blue and white or pink and green. Pick some sort of subset of colors, and that usually keeps everything looking really nice and tidy together, a little organized. So I just thought I wanted to share, thinking about your final quilt, thinking about what you want to make with those scraps, rather than just spending time cutting them into random sizes that you might never use. It might be something, if you have a 1-inch strip, and people do use them. Yes, for those of you who do use them, that is awesome. But there's a lot of people who don't. They hear, I should cut 1.5-inch strips. So what for? Well, there you go. There's a pattern. Now you'll know what to use them for. Versus like cutting a 4-inch square. I don't know what uses a 4-inch square. Well, there might be a pattern out there somewhere, but have the pattern first. Then you know what you're going to do with it. You can have, it's almost like you're building your own kit with the scraps. It takes just a little bit more thought, but if you have that plan, that also makes you a little bit more excited, because now you know what you're going to make, rather than just collecting all this to sit on the shelf and you don't do anything with it. There is some value though in just like the Zen, I call it the Zen moment of just cutting up your scraps and just having, this is just relaxing. It lets you rethink, it lets you reboot your brain. Maybe you're listening to a podcast or a show on TV that you can just sort of do mindless work, and it's relaxing. So there's always that aspect of just cutting them up. But think about if you're sort of like struggling a little bit about what do I do with these after I cut them, then have a plan before you start cutting of what sizes and where they're going to go. All right. Let's see. There's always good stuff. I want to talk about the tool chat. Remember, I'm on the Nancy's Notions. My Pat's Pick page is still up there for this month. And so I wanted to show you one of the other items that I put on my Pat's Picks, one of the notions for the tool chat here, because there are rotating cutting mats. And there's several of them out there on the market. And what I like the Olfa one best. And I'm going to show you how it works. And the reason why I like it is that I find it much sturdier. Some of them wobble more than I care for. Other people love them, you know, and that's great. But I just want to show you what I like, and I like the rotating cutting mat from Olfa. So let's take a look here. I brought along a square that needs trimmed. And so I'm going to trim it on all 4 sides, and this one could be trimmed to 4.5. And so let's do that. So when I'm trimming, let's pull you down here. Down, down, down to take a look. Okay. The seam of this half square triangle, I want to put the diagonal line of the ruler. This is a 6.5 inch ruler. The diagonal line goes right on the seam. And then what I'm doing is looking at the 4.5 inch mark, which is right here. Now if you have trouble seeing that on your particular ruler, you could put some washi tape here, and so, or put a little arrow. There's little arrows you could do. I didn't get one of those out. So what I have to do is I have to trim all 4 sides. I'm going to trim all 4 sides. So I will just hold this here to trim 2 sides, and then just go up. And now I could go like this, right? But instead, I am going to rotate the mat. And it's, you know, I'm on the corner here, which wasn't the greatest plan. So here is rotating the mat. I'm still where I need to be. And then I cut. I'm off the picture. There we go. Now I need to cut the other 2 sides. So I am going to rotate this, pick up the ruler. Now I put this corner down here, right in the 4.5 inch groove, you know, right at the intersection of the 4.5. The line, diagonal line still goes right on the seam. And now I hold this, and I will trim the other 2 sides. I will go up like this, and then I will rotate the mat. I'm like off the edge of the corner here, folks. This is what happens when I sit behind the sewing machine for doing demos. So now I rotated the mat. But what I like is that I'm going to push this up so I've got surface. So it just rotates like this each time. And the back, I'll show you the back side. So here it is in rotation. Whoops. Let's come back up here. Okay. So here is in the rotation movement. I just keep going around. It's a square, it's this regular square mat. It feels just like their other mats. It's the exact same surface. And there you can see like the sort of button that's on the back where it's rotating, you know, that lets it smooth around. So it's 2 parts. That's what I'm trying to show you. And then when you're on your regular surface where it's flat, you just sort of push. Now you can't see it again. You just sort of, you push and it goes around like that. There we go. And I like it because when I'm doing these, sometimes I really do need to do all 4 sides because they're not even. You know, I can't just stick it in and do 2 sides. So that is my favorite rotating cutting mat. Yay! I'll link you up to that. If you don't have one, they're quite a treat. They save you time. I'll probably do another demo of one of those before the month is out, and I'm going to go on the other side of the machine where I have a full table area rather than just the corner here. Okay, what's going on for the sew-alongs? Oh, one more thing. One more thing. Oh no, wait. I'll leave that there. Let me just do the sew-alongs first. Let's see what we're doing. Okay, drive down Bonnie Lane. Here are the little quilts. The little quilts, they go right under the house back there. Oh, let me give you the whole picture. There you go. So they're right next to the house over there. And I've got part of my charity block up on the wall. But this is, the log cabin is a bonus. So if you didn't download it, it is free from me, so it's a bonus. And this is the one that Barb, she has 2 of these, the other's blue in her pattern. So you could do them both identical, or if you wanted to have 2 different quilts on your line, you could do that. This week, at the end of the week, is the charity sew-along block, the next one. and it is the lily. And this lily is a little different. Somebody pointed out to me, and so I thought I'd point it out to you. A lot of traditional, very traditional lily blocks will have more stems coming down. But this is a little modern and more simplified. I like it. So that will be the block for this week, and it'll come out on Friday because the 15th is Saturday. So it won't be, it'll be on Friday. And the 15th will be the next Aurifil designer block, which is fabulous. It's from Kathy Ross, who is from Wales, I think. That's the one I have to look up which country. I think she's from Wales. The other one I want you to be sure you get involved with is I had several people, well, quite a few people say they just didn't get a chance or aren't really able to do like the bigger quilt but they want to sew with my Bonnie Lane. And so we're going to reboot and do these blocks again. I did them earlier in the fall, and so we made some more kits, and so there's kits for these, but the kit has it's the same kit as before, but I'm going to show you how to make them into a 4 block, and we're going to use the background fabric for part of the top, so to make it a little bit bigger, so that way if you wanted to order more background fabric you could, but we're going to use part of it to set it, or you can just set it long. They're basically like a big bed runner, for the foot of the bed, or if you have a big wide table, they're gorgeous as a table runner. So be sure that you get in on this and we can sew together. So it's a lot of fun, and you can have a new springy item when it's done, when spring finally gets here. Yeah, we've had crazy, crazy, gorgeous weather. I just like every day that it's pretty. Then we have lots of days of gray and not so pretty, but all the pretty days I'm outside walking. Got to get those walks in. So I need the sun on my face. Got to have that. Now I'm doing the charity cross stitch portion, and you know me, I am the baby cross stitcher. So there's what I've done so far. I think I've done pretty darn good. I have this one here, this orange was supposed to be the peach. It's orange and it's staying orange. I'm not going to do the peach. So that's what it is. But I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. And I am going to finish this. Of course, the 15th, the next one comes out. Eee! I better stitch faster in between the two because I want to do the March guy, right? So here's my March guy. He's moving along, but I've been doing the charity one. Not enough every day. That's the thing. It's like I need to live what I talk. You know, it's like I need to be sewing all the time on these. Every day I need to sew something. So there is, you can see the March. He's got the little leprechaun. I just think the little leprechaun's so cute. So I gave myself enough time. I'm using the Bloomtopia. Got the bag. I just love that. I love being able to pull this with a nice weighted zipper pull. This is a cool zipper pull. So those are my 2 cross stitch adventures. And I have been trying to, for the most part, keep them on the table surface. So if I have them up on my table, I'm much more likely to stitch. And that's something I think all of us can do for anything that we're doing. Any of which sewing, handwork, or piecing. If you put it all away every night, or you make it inaccessible, or you have too much junk stored on your table, no, you don't do that. Do you? You don't put junk on your table. Well, we all do it, right? And then when you have that junk on your table, it is not motivating to move all the junk when you only have so much time. So that's why I like to do the tidy up every day. At the end of the day, get it ready so that the next day, if you only have a few minutes, you can come in and cut some squares. You know, take that rotating cutting mat and trim up some half square triangles you've got. But if you have it out where you can get to it, then you're not hunting around for stuff and looking for it. So at the end of every day, get it ready. You know, we did this taking time every day for ourselves in January. You know, like every day I did a prompt out on the Facebook group. And I thought it was really interesting because a lot of you sort of jumped in on that and really, really took it to heart. You were like, yes, I am going to, you know, really think about myself, do something for myself every day. So I think it's not something I want to post every month, but maybe like every other month, maybe the odd months. March, that would be March. Should we do like a tidy up or stitch? What should we do? Maybe we should do stitch every day in March. Like a March Madness, so that you need to like sign in on the Facebook group or sign in at my blog somewhere and say, or my YouTube here and say, I stitched today. That'd be kind of fun. So let me know. Do you like that? Do you like that sort of checking in effect of stitching every day? I kind of like it. I might do that. So. Speaking of stitching, what do I got? No, let's do all those later. We had the button club come in, and generally I'm making a project for the button club, but I don't think I'm going to get to it this month. So I wanted to show you the button club and show you two projects of mine, three button projects before we end here today. So the button club this month is called Frost. There's the little paperwork for it, and this is something you can sign up for, and if you miss it you can purchase it afterwards usually. So it has all kinds of cutie patootie buttons, and then it says there's medium size and then bigger size buttons, and then usually a little tiny pack, so you get all of these. And then in the, let's come down here, in the little packet here are like, oh, there's just like a little, it's like a little snowman, or I'm sorry, like a little polar bear face on there. Look at these. Look at the snowflakes. Those are so cute. And a little snowman. Oh, that's a penguin. That's a penguin. And there's the little snowman. Oh my gosh, he's so stinking cute. There's a little snowman. So let me show you a project that I did like 2 years ago. So for the button club, and you might not have done. So here it was, the little snowman I did about 2 years ago, and there on the bottom are where you can put the buttons that come from the club. Yes. So that would be one. I will link all these. So you could just use your button club for that. And then if you did, this is a little bit older project, so if you're sort of over the snow, you're tired of snow, this little runner is a great one to use the buttons. So I put them on the flowers in the corner here. And then along, you know, whoops, you can see them there, along there. But you could do even more of them. You could do some in the middle if you weren't using it. Now this is, I don't know the size on it, but it's not real big. It's not like real table runner size, but you could make it table runner size. You could just make more squares in the middle and make it long enough for a table runner. And then because we're almost to Valentine's Day, I should have showed this last week, but I'm showing it now. So here's a little heart banner that I did a couple years ago for the button club. You can see the cute little buttons down here. Look at that, look at the bee. Look at the little bee. I just love him, little red bee. So this is super easy. You could whip this up and enjoy it. If you did two of them, like one here and then one here, that would be a nice, cute little table runner to do like this. So you could just do two of them, make it for a table runner. You could do four of them for a little wall hanging, you know, like that. So there are fun things to do with your buttons, or not, without buttons. But buttons are fun. Gives you something else to sort of add on to things. I like them. I've always liked buttons. I have some antique ones. We have an old glass button container from Greg's grandma. Someday I'll have to take a picture of that and show you. Okay, so last week, where's my note here? Find the note, find the note. So last week I had a question. I had a little goodie bag and have a question that was, what UFO will you work on for February? This is a goodie bag from last week. And Brenda P. said that she's going to work on a hexagon quilt. a quilt as you go, hexagon quilt as you go, that she had set aside for a while. She doesn't say how long a while is. So that's what she's going to work on. And then she says, I love your fireside chat. So Brenda, I will email you right after the show. So this is what you're getting, and this has the new, she's getting one of the new quilting journals. They're project journals, so you can track your projects. This week, let me show you this stuff first. And then I'm going all sort of cute and pink. Now, if you did not buy one of the special sweetheart boxes, I did, and I am giving away the project from it, which was so darn cute. This was the limited edition sweetheart box and came with this cute little project. So this is going to somebody, plus some red Aurifil thread. Yes, gotta have red. You see a theme here. Plus one of my picks for Nancy's Notions page is the Ruby Stash and Store. So this goes here. And I found, you know, I love scissors. Look what I found. Pink scissors with flowers. Oh my gosh. I kept a pair for myself. So this is going to somebody. And you get the journal, because Fat Quarter Shop has sent me quite a few of these to share. So you can list all your projects, and then by project, keep track of it. What's going on, take your notes. This is a wonderful size. It's small, fits right in your bag. And one other cute little thing I found is, whoops, it's a little piggy notebook. I just thought it's so cute. So all of this, all of that is gonna go, this goodie bag will go to somebody. So you have to leave me a note. And my question this week is, I thought of this because I saw a question out on our Facebook community. One of our friends there asked, I've never used a pre-cut. What size should I try first? So I thought, well, I wonder what size you all would try first. So the question is, what is your favorite pre-cut size? And if you've never used a pre-cut, just write down below. I've never used one, but this is the size I'd like to try. So pre-cuts are, you know, charm packs, jelly rolls, layer cakes. There's fat eighth bundles, fat quarter bundles, jolly bars, the mini charm packs. That's what we're talking about. So excited. Thank you so much for using all of my links. Greg and I truly appreciate everything you do to help support our small family business. And I am so happy that you're here. I love you. You are an amazing community. I hope that you click the subscribe so that we can visit again next time. See you online.